Horsemanship. I'm Greta Cummings.
And I'm Sheri Billings.
Sheri?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard somebody say to you that my horse is just a trail horse? It doesn't need to have all that fancy training?
Well, pretty much every single introduction that we do before every clinic that we give, there's always somebody that has just a trail horse.
Just a trail horse. And I remember reading this. It was a Facebook post, I'm sure of it. I cannot remember who wrote it. I really wish I remembered. But he was a big name trainer, a lot of awards in the show pen. And he said one of the things that just kind of rubs him the wrong way was when people come up to him and say, well, my horse is just a trail horse. It doesn't need all that fancy training. And he went on and he explained it beautifully. He said, you know what? His show horse, it always knows what kind of environment it's going to be. It always knows what the footing is going to be like. It's always somewhat of a controlled environment. Yeah. We're working with horses, so nothing's completely controlled. But there's not going to be a deer running across the ring in the middle of a performance or birds flying out or anything like that. And so he came back and he was saying that these people that think that they have just a trail horse, that their horses actually have to be more broke than his show horse.
They do. They have to be more prepared for the environment. That's why a lot of show horses fall apart out on a trail.
They do. They really do. There's some of the most well-trained animals, horses, whatever you want to call them, out there. But if it doesn't have a ring, it can't handle it.
Mm-hmm. So it's just so important to have those trail horses listening to you and being prepared and trusting us as riders.
Yeah,
that's so much in our horsemanship is we build that trust between the horse and the rider, because if the horse comes into a situation and they start falling apart or start acting silly, they look to us for guidance.
They really do. The same way that we look to God for guidance when we start falling apart in this world is our horse has to look to us, and we have to be prepared to help them.
Mm-hmm. And the best way to prepare is to teach them to listen to us. And that comes with softness. Yeah. And it's a big part of our training program at Cornerstone is softness.
Yeah, we just did a whole series on our Tuesday tips. If you want to go back to our YouTube channel and look those up about softness and how it's so important. And you're absolutely right. When a horse is soft, a horse is attentive, they're listening, they're engaged, and they have to be soft before we can really start teaching them anything.
Correct. That's exactly right. And so often a lot of people think they're soft. I think, oh, I got a soft horse. But then in experiences, all of a sudden we'll find a hole. And we'll
tell them the story of when you had your worst trip ever going down to Chris Cox's. Your horse died on the way down. But talk about that experience of riding a horse.
So I went down yearly to work with Chris Cox and to learn his training method and how he communicates with horses. And on my way down to Texas, it took me 2 days, and I stayed overnight at one spot, and my 4-year-old filly ran into a steel post and had head trauma and died in the middle of the night.
Just tragic.
And when he woke up the next morning, he had to deal with this. I'm at a strange place. The people I was staying with were just phenomenal. They helped me with my horse, found somebody to help bury her. And to make a long story short, I did not want to go home. There was just something about that. It was so tragic that going home, I just felt defeated. Mm-hmm. And so I called Chris and told him what was going on, what had happened. And he says, come on down, I'll get you a horse. I'll get you a horse ride. You come on down. We'll work the week and I'll get you a horse ride.
So you got down there and you were able to ride one of Chris Cox's personal horses that he trained.
Yes. And that was the first light bulb that came onto my head on what softness was. I thought I had a well-trained horse. She was green. She was 4. But the softness, when you ask them and they melt into you. You've used this terminology before where your horse melts into you. It's just a whole different feeling, and you go, oh, I want all my horses to feel this way.
Yeah.
And where you sit back and they slow down, and you plant your seat and they stop.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's all part of softness.
And I was riding a green horse. So the fact that I was riding a green horse that had so much feel and so much softness from the day one of his training, it just hooked me. I wanted more.
Yeah. And I know exactly what you mean. My mentor in Colorado, Melanie, is the same way. Her horses are just so soft, and they're just such a pleasure to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really gotten to the point anymore that if I get on a horse that is not soft, it scares the bejesus out of me. It really does. And there's a lot of horses anymore that I watch it go around, or I do some little groundwork things and I go, this horse is not soft. I am not getting on this horse because I really value my safety.
Well, as a trainer or a teacher, I can bring a student in and have them ride around, and all of a sudden when the horse starts getting stiff, I realize that the rider's getting stiff. So, I've learned so much by that for so many different reasons, because if I find some stiffness in a horse, maybe the front end, then I know that the rider's hands are getting stiff. If their back end starts lanking out, and that means their legs are getting stiff. So there's so much to say about if we get our horses soft and then all of a sudden something starts falling apart on us, we need to look at ourselves and how we ride.
Yeah.
And so we could go on and on and on and on.
We really could go on about this.
Yeah.
May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you.
And the horses you ride,
From our barn to yours.